The Galactic Council Chamber was the biggest building Derek Chun had ever seen. The walls stretched up 5 stories high, and the floor was made of clear crystal, so you could see through it to the levels below. The air smelled strange, like burning metal and flowers at the same time. 17 different alien species filled the room. Some were so tall they had to bend their heads. Some were so small they floated on invisible air currents. Derek stood alone in the middle of the chamber. His human heart beat fast. He knew what was about to happen. It was not going to be good. A small girl walked out next to him. Her name was Emma Rodriguez. She was 8 years old. She wore a gray suit like Derek wore, but the suit made her look even smaller. Her hands were shaking a little, but her face stayed calm. She looked straight ahead at the circle of aliens watching her. The first counselor to speak was Maxie's. His body looked like it was made of brown and black rock. Long claws clicked against the floor as he moved. His voice sounded like grinding stone. "Why does the human delegation bring a child to this chamber?" Maxie's asked. His tone made it clear he thought this was a stupid decision. This is not a place for young ones. Derek took a breath. He had prepared for this question. The child is the future of our people. She shows what humanity is. She shows what we want to protect. Some of the aliens laughed. It was a terrible sound, not a happy laugh. A laugh that meant they were not taking him seriously. A tall blue figure stepped forward. This was Thren, a Verith from the ancient worlds. His scales were the color of deep ocean water. His 6 arms moved with slow power. When Thren spoke, everyone listened. He had been on the council for 300 years. "Ambassador Chun, we understand your meaning," Thren said. His voice did not sound mean, but it was heavy with something worse than anger. It was disappointment. "But this only proves our concerns. Your species is young. You came to space only 200 of your years ago. You have no military strength. You have no ships that can fight. You have no weapons that matter in galactic war. You asked us to believe humanity can help defend the galaxy. A child in this chamber only shows us that you are still learning how to survive." Emma's hand found Derek's. He felt her small fingers squeeze his palm. He squeezed back. "The void creatures grow bolder," another voice cut in. This was Shiz, an Astron. Her body looked like it was made of glass. Light moved through her form in waves. She did not have a mouth, but her voice came from everywhere at once. "They attack more often. They destroy our colonies. We need warriors. We need strength. You offer words and a child." Derek felt anger rise in his chest. Not hot anger. Cold anger. The kind that came from knowing people would not listen, but you had to try anyway. "Humans have lived through 2 ice ages," Derek said, speaking carefully. His English was perfect. He had studied every word. "Our world almost died many times. We fought wars with weapons we made ourselves. We survived anyway. We learned to work together. We learned mercy. We learned to fix broken things. We learned how to stand up when everything knocked us down. These are not weak skills. These are survival skills." Maxie's moved forward. His claws clicked louder now. "Empty words from an empty species. You know nothing of real power. The council votes to remove human representation. We will take your stations. We will send you back to your small world. This is finished." The light in the chamber flashed. The vote was complete. 16-1. Humanity was done. Derek knelt down next to Emma. His eyes burned with tears, but he did not let them fall. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "This should not have gone this way." Emma looked up at him with eyes too smart for an 8-year-old. "They do not understand us yet," she said. She did not sound scared. She sounded like she knew something everyone else did not. But they will. They are going to have to learn. I am going to teach them. But Derek wanted to tell her no. He wanted to tell her that she was just a child, and the galaxy was too big and too mean for her. He wanted to protect her from what was coming. But he was beginning to understand something. Humans had always been good at standing up when everyone wanted them to stay down. Humans had always been good at doing impossible things. Emma was a human too. Maybe she already knew this about herself. Maybe she had always known it. The council chamber emptied. The aliens left to make their plans. Derek held Emma's hand and watched them go. He had failed. The council had rejected humanity. Everything they had worked for was gone. But Emma was still holding his hand. And Emma was smiling a small, quiet smile. It was the smile of someone who had just heard a challenge they could actually answer. "What are you thinking?" Derek asked her. "I am thinking," Emma said, still looking at the empty circle where the council had stood, "that they just made a very big mistake. They asked what one child could do. Now we get to show them." Derek did not know what would happen next. He did not know that Emma would soon be flying through a damaged space station. He did not know that she would face creatures that hurt to look at. He did not know that she would save 37,000 lives in the next 3 weeks. He only knew that she was right. The galaxy had just asked the wrong question. They had asked what a child could do. And a child from humanity was about to give them an answer they would never forget. The council thought they had destroyed human hope. They did not understand that humans were made of the same material as honey badgers. Small animals that never quit. Small animals that bit down and never let go. Small animals that took on creatures 10 times their size. Emma squeezed his hand again. "Let me show them," she said simply. And Derek, looking at his small human daughter figure, knew exactly what she meant. Kelmer Station floated above a dead planet. The station housed 3,000 workers. Mining crews, engineers, scientists, soldiers. They came from 12 different species. Humans were only 200 of them. Everyone worked together because they had no choice. Work together or die together. That was the rule out here in the deep spaces. Emma was reading a datapad. When the alarm started, the sound cut through every room in the station at the same time. Long blasts, repeated. Emergency, emergency. Her teacher, a Vareth named Kron, looked up from his work. His scales turned pale green. That meant fear. Emma had learned to read the colors. "Everyone to the evacuation pods," Kron said. His voice shook. "This is not a drill. This is real." Emma ran toward the nearest corridor. Around her, aliens moved fast. The station shook. Something had hit it hard. Then it hit again. And again. The lights flickered. The gravity stuttered. Emma fell to her knees. Derek found her in the corridor. He grabbed her and pulled her up. "We have to move now. The creature attack is already through the outer defense." "What creatures?" Emma asked. "Void creatures. They exist in the spaces between dimensions. We do not know how to fight them. We are evacuating everyone." "We are evacuating everyone." The station shook again. Derek pushed Emma toward the escape pods. They ran down the corridor together. Behind them, they heard screaming. Bad screaming. The kind that meant death was very close. The gravity system failed. Everything became light and weightless. Derek caught Emma as she floated past him. They were both floating now, moving slowly through the corridor without gravity to pull them down. Around them, aliens from different species struggled. The Vareth were too big and clumsy without gravity. The smaller species floated helplessly. "The engineering section," Emma said. She was calm. Too calm. "The backup gravity system is there." "Yes," Derek said. "But we cannot get there." The creatures are in the corridors. Are they? Emma asked. Or are they only in the big corridors? Are they only in the places where adults fit? Derek understood what she was saying. The creatures were large. They would attack the main pathways. But the small access tunnels, the spaces designed for maintenance and repairs, those were too narrow for the creatures to move through easily. A small person could move through those tunnels. A small person like a child. No, Derek said. It was not a question. It was a refusal. You will stay with me. But Emma was already pushing away from him. She used a metal rail to pull herself toward a small maintenance hatch. The hatch was maybe 2 feet across. Derek could not fit through it. Emma fit easily. Emma, stop. That is an order. But Emma was already inside the tunnel. Derek heard her voice echo back. I am going to start the backup systems. You go to the evacuation pod. Tell them to prepare for gravity. Derek wanted to stop her. He wanted to go after her. But he also knew she was right. The evacuation pods had limited space. 800 capacity. 3,000 people on the station. If he could restore gravity, maybe they could manage the evacuation. More people would survive. He hated it. He hated it with every cell in his body. But he moved toward the main engineering console. Emma crawled through the access tunnel. The tunnel was dark and narrow. She pulled herself forward using her hands. Behind her, the station shook. The void creatures were inside the station now. She could hear them. They did not sound like anything alive. They sounded like reality breaking down. She turned a corner and something grabbed her. For 1 second, Emma's entire world became terror. A limb that did not look like a limb, a thing made of darkness and wrong angles, pulled her backward. She could not scream. Terror froze her voice. Then she grabbed the fire suppression system on the wall. Her hand found the emergency release. She pulled it. Foam exploded everywhere. The white foam filled the tunnel. The creature that had grabbed her made a sound that hurt. It released her. She did not stop to understand why. She kept moving. 2 more creatures waited in the next section. Emma saw them materialize in front of her. These ones had shape. They looked like things with too many limbs and mouths that opened wrong. Emma did not run. Instead, she grabbed the coolant containers stored in the corridor for emergency repairs. She threw the first one at the creatures. It burst on impact. The liquid inside was pressurized. Freezing cold. The creatures screamed. The sound made Emma's ears hurt. She threw another container. And another. The creatures dissolved. They faded like smoke. They were going somewhere else. Some other dimension. They did not want to fight. Emma kept moving. She reached the engineering section. The access hatch opened to the main control room. Derek was already there. He was working the manual controls. His hands were moving fast, pressing buttons and pulling levers. I can handle it from here, Emma said. Derek did not argue. He moved to the second console and helped her input the commands. The station groaned. Deep inside the machinery, something began to spin up. The backup gravity system came online. Weight returned. Sudden, heavy. Emma fell. Derek caught her. All around them, everything that had been floating dropped. They heard crashes through the station as objects fell back to solid surfaces. The creatures, Emma gasped. They are leaving, Derek said. He was reading the sensors. When gravity returned, they lost power. They cannot maintain their forms in strong gravity wells. They are fading. Emma saw it on the screens. The creatures were becoming thin, transparent, vanishing, returning to whatever nightmare space they came from. 3,000 people on Kelmer Station. 1,372 of them survived. 1,218 did not. a 1200. A-team would have been 0. Everyone would have died. The evacuation pods would have been useless. The escape routes would have meant nothing. Emma had bought them time. She had fought creatures that did not belong in this dimension. She had brought back gravity when everything said she could not. Derek held his daughter and did not cry. But his hands shook. Emma looked at the screens, showing the rest of the station. Fire burned in many sections. The creatures were gone, but the damage was done. Kelmer Station would have to be repaired or abandoned. They will blame humans, Emma said. Derek looked at her. What? The Council. The other species. When they hear what happened here, they will blame us. They will say we attracted the creatures. They will say we are weak. They will not understand what actually happened. Derek pulled his daughter close. She was right. In the halls of the Galactic Council, humans would still be seen as the problem. They had saved a station. They had saved thousands of lives. It would not matter. But Emma was smiling again. That same small smile from the council chamber. Let them blame us, she said. We know what we did. That is what matters. And Derek, holding his daughter, began to understand that this was only the beginning. The void creatures did not stop attacking after Kelmer Station. They got worse. Much worse. Every day, there were reports of new attacks. Mining colonies vanished. Research stations went silent. An entire transport ship with 2,000 passengers disappeared between star systems. No wreckage. No distress calls. Just gone. The Galactic Council met again. This time, Emma and Derek were not invited to speak. They sat in the observation gallery and listened to the debate. Councillor Thren was angry. His scales flickered between blue and dark purple. Purple meant rage. The attacks have intensified since the human incident at Kelmer Station. We must consider that the creatures are drawn to human weakness. Perhaps removing human stations entirely will stop this attack. Councillor Maxey stood up. His claws struck the floor. Click, click, click. We should have removed them from the colonies months ago. Instead, we tolerated their presence. Now look at the cost. 47,000 dead. Entire colonies lost to the void. Councillor Schiss did not speak, but her body glowed with patterns that meant agreement. The council was turning against humanity. Emma sat very still. Derek could feel her tension. She knew what was happening. The galaxy was looking for someone to blame. Humanity was the easiest target. The source of the creature attacks has been located, a new voice said. It was Councillor Vex, a Tal from the science districts. Vex had no mouth or eyes that Derek could see, but he spoke with confidence. Our sensors have found a derelict research station in Sector 7. The station was operated by the Vareth. A dimensional anchor malfunction created tears in the dimensional barriers. The creatures come through those tears. Thren's scales turned pale. That station was abandoned 3 centuries ago. A minor experiment. No danger was ever indicated. The danger was always there, Vex said. The anchor has been failing slowly. The tears are growing. Unless the anchor is repaired, the creatures will keep coming. They will keep getting stronger. In 10 years, they will have torn the barrier open completely. Nothing will stop them then. The council chamber went quiet. Derek felt the weight of that silence. 10 years. That was the timeline. 10 years before everything ended. The station must be destroyed, Maxey said. We seal that sector. No one goes in. No one comes out. We contain the problem. That will only delay the inevitable, Vex said. The barrier tiers are still growing. The creatures will eventually escape any containment we build. Then what solution do you offer? Thren demanded. You bring us bad news but no answer. The anchor must be repaired. Vex said simply. Someone must enter that station. Someone must restore the dimensional anchor to functionality. Then the barrier will heal. The creatures will be contained. You ask us to send people to their deaths, Shiz said. The creatures are too strong. No one can survive that station. The creatures are weak in our dimension when gravity is heavy, Emma said. Everyone in the chamber turned to look at the observation gallery. Emma was standing up. Derek reached for her arm, but she was already walking down the stairs. Emma, stop, Derek said. But she did not stop. She walked to the center of the council chamber. All the aliens looked down at her. The smallest being in the room. The most fragile. The least powerful. The creatures are not intelligent, Emma said. Her voice did not shake. They are hungry. They hunt. They follow the easiest paths. They follow pain and fear and death. When colonies panic and evacuate, they broadcast that fear like a signal. The creatures hear it across the dimensional barriers. They come toward it like insects toward light. Maxie's made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. A child speaks of creatures beyond her understanding. I understand them better than you do, Emma said, because I have faced them. I have seen what makes them weak. They are weak in strong gravity. They are weak when you do not panic. They are weak when you stand and fight instead of run and hide. This is what humans know. This is what humans are good at. We stand in dark places, and we do not back down. Thren leaned forward. Even if your understanding is correct, the repair is too dangerous. We cannot ask anyone to volunteer for suicide. I volunteer, Emma said. The chamber exploded. Every alien began speaking at once. Their voices mixed into a sound like an orchestra of chaos. Derek stood up. He started to move toward Emma. He would pull her out. He would stop this. I understand exactly what I offer, Emma said. Her voice cut through the noise. I understand that I am young. I understand that I am small. I understand that I could die. But I also understand something that you do not understand yet. I understand that humans choose to be brave, even when we are afraid. We choose to stand up even when it would be easier to lie down. We choose to fight for people we do not even know. This is not weakness. This is the reason humanity will survive. We offer this choice. We offer our lives. We do not offer because we are commanded. We offer because we choose. Thren was silent. His scales returned to their normal blue color. For a moment, he was just thinking. A child should not have to make this choice, Thren said finally. Then I will not make the choice for you, Emma said. I am not asking permission anymore. I am telling you what I will do. I will pilot a repair drone to that station. I will restore the dimensional anchor. I will close the barrier tiers. You can accept my help or refuse it. But I am doing this. I am doing this because 1,200 people died at Kelmer Station so far. I am doing this because 47,000 died in other attacks. I am doing this because 10 years from now, everyone will be dead if we do nothing. I am not doing this because I am brave. I am doing this because I am human, and humans do not accept that outcome. She walked back toward Derek. The council did not stop her. They could have. They were powerful enough, but they did not. They watched a small girl walk away from them, and they understood that something had shifted. Something fundamental had changed. That night, Derek found Emma on the observation deck. She was looking out at the stars where danger waited, where creatures from nightmare dimensions hunted, where the dimensional barriers were tearing apart. You should have asked permission, Derek said. I know, Emma said, but they would have said no, and we do not have time for them to say no. Derek sat down next to her. You might not come back. I know that too, Emma said. Then why? Derek asked. Emma pointed to a distant star. Because the universe is big and terrible and beautiful. And people live out there. People we will never meet. And they deserve to live. That is why. That is always why. Derek did not know that Emma would succeed. He did not know that she would fly into the station and face the void creatures. He only knew that she was right. She was absolutely right. And he was terrified. The repair drone sat on the landing pad of the command vessel. It was small, not much bigger than a car. It had mechanical arms and sensor clusters. It was built to work in dangerous places. But it was not built for what Emma was about to ask it to do. Emma sat in the pilot's seat. The controls responded to her touch. Screen after screen showed data. Structural scans of the research station. Thermal maps. Dimensional energy readings. The screens showed red in 1,000 places. The station was dying. And Emma had to fly through it anyway. Drone systems are go, the technician said over the communication channel. All systems nominal. You are clear for launch. Emma did not respond. She was thinking. She was remembering the creatures at Kelmer Station. The way they moved. The way they screamed when she hit them with coolant. The way they faded when gravity returned. The Verith research station hung in space like a dead thing. It had been abandoned for 3 centuries. 300 years of deterioration. 300 years of a dimensional anchor breaking down slowly. 300 years until the creatures started coming through. The drone launched. It moved away from the command vessel and toward the station. Behind it, a fleet watched. Dozens of ships from a dozen species. All waiting to see if one human child could solve a problem that threatened the entire galaxy. Emma flew the drone past the outer defenses. The station's hull was cracked in 1,000 places. Pieces floated around it like debris. She had to navigate carefully. One collision would ruin the mission. The drone would be damaged. She would crash. She did not think about crashing. Instead, she focused on the target. The dimensional anchored chamber was on the station's core level. Deep inside, protected, which meant it was surrounded by the most damage. The creatures had concentrated their attacks around the anchor. They wanted to keep it broken. They wanted to keep the barrier tiers open. Entering Station Access Corridor 7, Emma said into the communication system. All systems still nominal. She guided the drone through the outer corridors. The station shook around her. Not from anything physical. From something wrong. Something that did not belong. The void creatures were here. They were waiting for her. She saw them first as shadows. Just movement at the edge of the sensor readings. Then they became more solid. More real. The creatures were large. 3 of them. They had limbs that moved wrong. They had mouths that opened in directions that should not exist. A normal person would have panicked. Emma was not a normal person. She had already decided to do this. She had already committed to the choice. So she did not panic. She simply moved faster. The creatures threw themselves at the drone. Limbs struck the hull. The drone shook. The mechanical arms reached out and grabbed a container from the storage rack. Pressurized coolant. Emma hit the release valve and threw the container at the first creature. The explosion of cold liquid crashed against the creature's form. The creature's body twisted. It tried to move away. Emma threw another container. And another. She was not trying to kill the creatures. She was trying to move them. To push them away from her path. To get past them. The drone moved forward. The creatures could not stop it. They could not match its speed. Emma had trained for weeks in the pilot simulator. She knew every movement the drone could make. She knew it better than she knew her own body. Creatures are falling back, Emma said into the communication channel. Her voice was steady, continuing toward the anchor chamber. Emma, we are reading more creatures entering the station behind you. the technician said. They are materializing inside the main corridors. That was bad. Emma had planned for 2 or 3 creatures, not dozens. The creatures were responding to her presence. They could feel the dimensional tension building as she moved closer to the anchor chamber. They were moving to stop her. She made a choice. Instead of moving forward, she moved toward the main power distribution center. The center was not on her mission path, but it needed to be on her path now. She needed to buy time. The drone reached the power center. Emma used the mechanical arms to open panels. She found the pressurized gas containers. She used the drone's tools to open every container at once. Pressure, force, explosion. The power center erupted. The blast pushed through the corridors. The creatures caught in the explosion were thrown backward. Walls collapsed. Sections sealed off. The creature's path was blocked. Emma moved forward again. The creatures would find another way. But she had bought herself minutes. That was all she needed. The anchor chamber appeared on her screens. It was inside a protected vault. The dimensional anchor sat in the center of the vault. It looked like a sphere made of crystal and light. Around it, the reality of space was wrong. Light bent in ways that hurt to look at. The fabric of existence was torn here. The creatures poured through those tears like insects through a hole in a wall. Emma landed the drone in the chamber. The creatures screamed. Their voices came from multiple dimensions at once. The sound made every computer in the command vessel shake. "I am starting the repair sequence," Emma said. The mechanical arms moved with precise movements. The drone had been programmed with the repair specifications. The anchor required specific reconnections, specific recalibrations. The drone's hands were smaller and more precise than human hands could ever be. Emma guided them with perfect focus. The void creatures attacked the drone. They struck at the hull. They reached into the chamber with limbs that did not belong in this dimension. Emma did not stop. She kept working. The connection was almost complete. Just one more second. One more second. The anchor flared with light. The reaction was immediate. The dimensional tiers began to seal. The creatures that had been so solid, so real, began to fade. They became transparent. They became smoke. They became nothing. The barrier between dimensions strengthened. The boundary returned. The creatures could not maintain their forms any longer in the strengthened barrier. They vanished. All of them. Gone. The anchor chamber stabilized. The dimensional energy readings returned to normal. The barrier was sealed. The creatures could not cross anymore. The holes were patched. Emma sat in the pilot's seat and took a breath. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, from the release of fear. The adrenaline leaving her body. The reality of what she had just done hitting her at once. "Anchor repair is complete," Emma said into the communication channel. Returning to dock. The entire fleet went quiet. For one full minute, nobody said anything. They had just watched an 8-year-old human child pilot a repair drone into an alien space station. They had watched her face creatures from nightmare dimensions. They had watched her solve a problem that had threatened to destroy the entire galaxy. "Good work, Emma," Derek finally said over the channel. His voice was rough. He had been holding his breath. Emma brought the drone back to the landing pad. As the mechanical arms locked into place, Emma allowed herself to smile. She had done what everyone thought was impossible. She had walked into the dark. She had faced the creatures of void. She had fixed what was broken, and she had proved to the entire galaxy that humans were not weak. Humans were honey badgers, small, fierce, impossible to break. Humans would stand in the darkness and fight. Humans would not give up. That was their power. That was their gift to the universe. Emma unbuckled herself from the pilot's seat and walked out to meet Derek. He was waiting for her with tears in his eyes and arms open wide. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The Verith delegation wanted Emma arrested. They said she had destroyed their ancient research station. They said she had damaged property that belonged to their species. They wanted punishment. They wanted justice. What they really wanted was someone to blame for 300 years of negligence. The trial took place in the same chamber where Emma had walked in and demanded to help. This time, the chamber was full. Every species in the galaxy sent representatives. The trial was broadcast across all known space. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to the human child. Emma sat next to Derek. She wore the same gray suit she always wore. She did not look scared. She looked tired. She looked like someone who had already made peace with whatever would happen. Counselor Maxey spoke first. The human child destroyed private property worth millions in credits. The research station was ancient. It was unique. It cannot be replaced. We demand compensation. Derek stood up. The station was a hazard. It was killing people. The creatures that came through those dimensional tiers have killed over 100,000 beings across this galaxy. My daughter saved more lives than any warrior in history. If anyone owes compensation, it is the Verith, for not maintaining their equipment. The chamber erupted. Species began arguing with each other. The Varith shouted at the humans. The Astrans tried to make peace. The Tulls offered technical explanations that no one listened to. Then Counselor Thren stood up. Silence fell. The old Varath scales glowed with a color Emma had not seen before. Not anger, not fear. Something else. Something that looked like acceptance. We have been fools, Thren said. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. I have lived for 300 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have watched civilizations come to power and disappear into history. I have made decisions that affected billions. But I have never seen what I saw in the research station. He turned to look directly at Emma. A child, smaller and weaker than any being in this chamber, walked into a place of danger. She faced creatures that would terrify our greatest warriors. She did this not because she was commanded. She did this not because she was promised reward. She did this because she chose to stand up. She chose to fight for beings she would never meet. She chose to sacrifice everything for a future she might never see. Thren walked down from his platform. He approached Emma. The entire chamber held its breath. A Varith with the power to destroy worlds was walking toward a human child. Thren knelt down. He was so much bigger than Emma that even on his knees, his head was above hers. He looked directly into her eyes. I have been wrong, Thren said. We have all been wrong. We looked at humanity and saw weakness. We looked at a child and saw vulnerability. We measured your kind by our standards and found you wanting. But we were measuring the wrong things. We were measuring size and power and weaponry. We were not measuring courage. We were not measuring the willingness to stand against impossible odds. We were not measuring the human gift of choosing to be brave. Thren turned to face the entire council. I move that the charge against Emma Rodriguez be dismissed. I move that humanity be granted full membership status in the Galactic Council. I move that we commit the resources of this council to human military development. I move that we recognize the true power of the human species, not in what they can destroy, but in what they refuse to accept being destroyed. The vote was unanimous. Every single counselor voted yes. The Verith, the Astrans, the Talls, all of them. Humanity was no longer a weak species needing protection. Humanity was a partner, a full member, a species that had earned respect through the actions of a single child. Emma did not smile. She did not cry. She just looked at Thren and nodded once. That night, Emma stood on the observation deck of the station. Derek joined her there. The stars spread out in front of them. Infinite, beautiful, dangerous, full of possibility. "Do you know what a honey badger is?" Emma asked. Derek smiled. "I looked it up after you first mentioned it. A small animal from Earth. Fierce, stubborn, does not back down from anything." "Honey badgers are not the strongest animals on Earth," Emma said, still looking at the stars. "They are not the fastest. They are not the smartest. But they do not care. When a honey badger decides something matters, nothing can stop it. It bites, it fights. It does not let go." That is what the council learned today. They learned that humans are honey badgers. "Is that what you are?" Derek asked. "A honey badger?" Emma turned to look at her father. "That is what we all are. Every human. We are small in a big universe. We are weak compared to species with advanced technology. But we refuse to accept defeat. We stand up even when it would be easier to lie down. We bite and we do not let go. The creatures of the void did not destroy us. The council did not destroy us. Nothing can destroy us because we are willing to stand in dangerous places and say no." "No to what?" Derek asked. "No to the idea that it has to be this way," Emma said. "No to accepting death when fighting is possible. No to giving up on people we will never meet. No to believing that strength is everything. We say no, and that no is more powerful than any weapon." Derek put his arm around his daughter. She had grown so much in these weeks. Not in size, in something more important. In understanding, in wisdom, in the knowledge of what humans could do when they decided something mattered more than fear. "The galaxy is going to change now," Derek said, "because of what you did. The galaxy is going to change because humans will make it change," Emma said. "I did not do this alone. I did it because I am part of humanity. I did it because humans teach their young to be brave. I did it because for millions of years, humans have stood up and refused to accept the easy answer. That is our gift. That is what we are. We are the species that looks at the darkness and says we are going into it anyway. We are going to fix it. We are going to save people. We are going to do it even if it is hard. Even if it is scary. Even if we could die." Anna looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, new dangers waited. New creatures. New challenges. New reasons to be afraid. But that did not matter. Because humans were honey badgers. And honey badgers did not break. "What happens now?" Derek asked. "Now we teach them," Emma said simply. "We teach the galaxy what humans are. We show them our strength. We show them our courage. We show them that size and power are not everything. We show them that choosing to be brave, even when you are afraid, even when you are small, even when everyone says you cannot win. That is the real power in the universe." Derek looked at his daughter, 8 years old. She had faced void creatures. She had repaired a dimensional anchor. She had changed the course of galactic history. She had done the impossible. And she was just getting started. Emma felt her father's arm around her. She leaned into him. Together they looked out at the vast galaxy. It was full of danger. It was full of mystery. It was full of beings who needed to learn what humans could do. The honey badger had shown its teeth. Now the universe would learn what it meant to be bitten.